What's up? It's your boy KC. How y'all doing? This is my second podcast show. This is going to be about Konami. Part 2. I know I did one of my videos, but this one is a continued version of that because Konami has done some stupid things lately and I just don't understand it. Now, I already talked about the fact that they won't create sequels to games, say like, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which people have been asking for since the first one came out, and they still won't do it. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that Hideo Kojima has stuffed riding down our throats for years and years since Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty. I hate that guy. I will never like him. But my biggest gripe with Hideo Kojima, Mr. Kojima, and people who know him know that he has created Metal Gear Solid. One of the greatest action games ever created for any platform. Now, bad enough that I have to keep seeing Raiden over and over and over again. He made a fatal mistake, a bad mistake, that pretty much turned a lot of fans away from the series. When you remove something that people are used to and people love, they get angry. Take a page from Devil May Cry. When they completely remade Dante and made him into Emo May Cry, to where he looks like one of them kids that should be in South Park, as I said before. He doesn't change, Big Boss. It's bad enough that he killed off Solid Snake, but what he did was he replaced David Hayter. Who is David Hayter? For the Metal Gear Solid fans, they know that David Hayter has been playing Solid Snake and Big Boss for the past 15 years now, and he replaced them. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The fans love this guy. He is Solid Snake. That would be like redoing Batman the Animated Series and not having Kevin Conroy as the Batman from the 90s. Not having Mark Hamill as the Joker from the 90s. It would not work. It would not be good. You don't do that. I'm not understanding it. Why is it that you would mess this up? Yes, the game looks great, but there are just things that appeal to people's nostalgic value. When they play a Metal Gear Solid game and they hear the voice of David Hayter, man, this brings back memories. People love it. You took that away. Why? It's bad enough you killed off Solid Snake, which nobody asked you to do. Nobody wanted Solid Snake to die. Nobody wanted to get stuck with this Raiden dude. He sucks. Like I said, again, take a page from Devil May Cry. When they did Devil May Cry 4, where they took out Dante and gave us Nero, which is a watered down version in an alternate universe of Dante. That would be like having Goku, the bravest fighter in Dragon Ball Z, quiver in fear. It just does not work. And yes, I'm angry because why would you mess with something that has been a part of my childhood since 1997? Or 98, I forgot when it first came out. I apologize for that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, put him back. And the thing is, he gave us an answer. Everything is new about the new Metal Gear Solid game, and I just wanted everything to be brand new and to have brand new voice actors. Fair enough, but don't change the main character. They didn't even let David Hayter know that they replaced him. And for those people who think that it's a joke, like he did the April Fool's joke a long time ago, no, it's actually legit. David Hayter himself said that he will not be in this new Metal Gear Solid, and that's a shame. That takes away a lot of value from me. You know, the game looks great. I love the way it looks, but you just don't do that. You just do not do that. And I know that there are a shitload of fans that are angry out there right now because of this. They're like, why would you do that? They feel that without David Hayter, it's a huge chunk of history from Metal Gear Solid missing. Whoever is a Metal Gear Solid fan, when I talk to them, when I talk to my friends, they say, and I told them David Hayter's not going to be in the game, their answer is the same thing that I said. What? Why? You just don't do that. You don't do it. Moving on to something more positive. A lot of people keep asking me, am I going to get the PS4? And my answer is yes, I am. However, I'm going to play the waiting game for a little bit because there's really nothing on this console that I want to get just yet. Until I start seeing Resident Evil titles pop up and Ninja Gaiden, maybe even Dynasty Warriors, maybe a new Devil May Cry, something like that, then I will buy it. But right now, I just not interested right now. It's a great system. I'm not saying it's bad, but my PS3 library, my PS Vita, PS2, everything is great so far. I love the games that they put. Dragon's Dogma, which I have, Resident Evil Revelations, which they need to go with that. Whatever they did with Resident Evil Revelations, the only thing I didn't like about Revelations is that they make you play these crappy people. I bought the game specifically for two people, Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield. I didn't want to play some fat guy named Parker. I don't want to play some two dumbasses that really don't even matter in the world of Resident Evil, and some chick that they just need to stick with Chris just, to add a little bit of sexy fizzle to it. That was the only thing that I didn't like. However, everything else, being in a dark mansion with limited ammo, this is what they need to go with. I love it. I hope that the next Resident Evil is much, much better, because Resident Evil 6 was nothing but a joke, and it was real dirty for what they did to us to give us Leon's campaign as the demo to make us think that, they're going back to what made Resident Evil great, the zombies and everything. And then I bought it, and it was just a cluster. I don't know what the hell this game is. You got so many scenarios that just really didn't even need to be a part of this game. This could have just been another standalone Leon Kennedy game. That wouldn't have bothered me. Maybe a little Ada added into it, because you can't have Leon Kennedy without Ada Wong in it. Speaking of Resident Evil, where is Claire Redfield? I've been wondering this for a long time. They keep bringing back everybody. Let's run down the list here. Resident Evil 0, you have Rebecca and Billy. Badass game, I like it. Resident Evil 1, Chris and Jill. Resident Evil 2, Claire and Leon. Resident Evil 3, Jill and Carlos. Resident Evil 4, Leon and Ashley. Resident Evil 5, Chris and Sheva. Don't ever bring her back again. And then you got Resident Evil 6 with Leon Kennedy, Ada Wong, Helena. You got Sherry, which I was happy to see her back. You got Jake, who is Wesker's son. You got Chris, and what's his partner's name? His partner's name is Pierce, I think. Pierce Nivens, which is the nerdiest name I have ever heard in my entire life. Can you imagine, girls, can you imagine talking to a guy, hi, my name is Pierce Nivens? What would be your first thought? Seriously. And then they have my girl Ada Wong and some ghost guy that doesn't exist. I never understood that. But the last time I seen Claire Redfield was in Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D, where they just kind of stuck her in. But she hasn't had a story-based game, Resident Evil game, since Resident Evil Code Veronica. That was the last time I seen Claire in anything. And do they have something against Claire? Because in the crappy-ass movie, they just give her this little part here, and that was it. You see her for like 2 minutes, and then that's it. What happened? She was in my opinion, one of my favorite Resident Evil games ever created. Resident Evil 2, I never get tired of that game. I never get tired of it. I'm going off on a rant there. Moving on to something else. It looks like when it comes to video game sales, the thing that's really outselling everything, the Nintendo 3DS is outselling every system, every console system. Yeah, they had a longer lifespan, but they are outselling the PS4 and the Xbox One and the Wii U, which doesn't take much to sell more than a Wii U these days. Sorry, Nintendo, but it's outselling it, and that's crazy. Because you know what? I like the 3DS, but there's just not any games that I want to get for that system besides Resident Evil Revelations, which I beat that to death. Mercenaries, I beat that to death. The Castlevanias don't appeal to me. So all it is just, Pokemon and Mario and Zelda and all that stuff. Not that I have anything against Mario and Zelda, it's just that it's been done to death. I've never really played Zelda. I've never really been into it. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I was always a Mario fan. So that's all I gotta say pretty much on the system sales is that the console Wii U sucks. It's bad. I mean, the sales are crappy, but the 3DS is outselling everything. And that's amazing because Nintendo is dominating the handheld. Sega tried to come out with something. They tried to come out with a little Sega handheld system that has about 80 built-in Sega Genesis games. Many people really don't hear about it because they did not market it well enough for people to know. They didn't put them in stores. I saw it in a damn pawn shop. That's just terrible. For something that epic, people who are Sega Genesis fans would have loved to get their hands on that. However, rumors tell it that they said the rumors that the system just feels too cheap. And I don't know if that's true or not because I've never had one. But the thought of being able to play 80 built-in Sega Genesis games, if there was that many, that's awesome. All the Sonics, Alter Beast, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, Vector Man, Pit Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all the Mortal Kombats on there, Street Fighter, all that stuff. Who wouldn't want to play that? Sega, I don't even know if Sega came out with that. Maybe it was just somebody else that created it. But if Sega did come out with that, they sure as hell didn't do a good job in the marketing department, because I know for sure they didn't get them in GameStop stores or any other gaming stores in the US, and that's a big mistake. And I don't see why not, because we need more of a variety these days anyways. You know what I'm saying? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, we had so many systems to choose from. We had, the Atari 2600, the 5200, the 7200. We had ColecoVision, Intellivision. We had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega CD, Sega 32X. We had so many systems, the TurboGrafx 16, the Atari Jaguar, the Virtual Boy. Whether the consoles were crappy or what, it doesn't matter. We had different varieties to choose from. That's the biggest problem in the world of video gaming. We don't have anything to choose from. It's always been the same three systems for the past couple of years. We had Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. And I don't see why Sega shouldn't throw their hat in the ring one more time. I mean, it has been a long time, and I think it would be something refreshing for fans to see a new Sega system come out. I don't see why not, because Dreamcast was off the chain. And Sega Saturn was awesome too, so I don't see why they couldn't do it, with the new technology these days. Why not? You know what I'm saying? I could see something like Sega laying low for a little bit, putting their money together, developing a brand new system that might rival the new systems out there. You know what I'm saying? Because Nintendo sure as hell ain't doing good right now. They're not the powerhouse that they was back in the late 80s and 90s where they dominated everything. When it comes to the systems, it's horrible. So for Sega to be like, all right, you know what, let's throw our hat in the ring. Let's do this new system. Let's see if we can go up against Sony and Microsoft. I don't see what the problem would be with that. Maybe a new Sonic for the Sonic fans. Remake Alter Beast, that would be great. If they took the library of games that they had now and included it on this system and remade them all in today's graphics, that would be epic. Can you imagine playing Comic Zone in the new graphics these days? That would be ill. That would be something, a real treat for the fans. And I think that Sega should go ahead and do that. Should go ahead and go with it. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention, how about a new system from Neo Geo? How about something like that? Neo Geo hasn't been seen since God knows when. And that's a shame, because the last handheld system that they came out with was the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which was an awesome handheld. I loved it. It didn't have the third-party support that it should have had for the system to be great, but it was awesome, and I loved it. And I don't see why Neo Geo can't come out with something new. I heard that somebody tried to remake the Neo Geo system and put Neo Geo games in it, just like the Sega handheld, but it flopped because, again, people said it felt cheap and it was literally taken from a handheld system that company had already made. So what all they did was just put an emulator on the system that plays Neo Geo games, and that is the cheapest thing you could ever do. And I'm glad that they stopped. You know, I don't even know if SNK Neo Geo even gave these guys permission to do something like that. If it's illegal, I would sue them. But let's get a legit Neo Geo console, because I miss games like Samurai Showdown. I miss games like The Last Blade and Fatal Fury and King of Fighters and Arrow Fighters. And it's a shame because those games were great. In my childhood, I enjoyed playing those, and it would be good to see them come back. I would like to do a shout out to my boys down at Church Street Tavern for helping me out, Ricky Bobby and Adam, for putting my videos up. They helped me out real good. That was a real surprise, and it made my night putting some of my YouTube videos up. Y'all subscribe to my channel, KC the Most. This is your boy KC. I'll check y'all out later.